USPAP 7-hour national update course 2022 through 2023. Chapter 2, Fair Housing Update, Critical New Information for Appraisers. Page 28, USPAP and the Appraiser. This section will discuss topics from a USPAP perspective. USPAP has always prohibited unlawful discrimination. It is important to recognize the ways in which USPAP addresses this issue. In the USPAP publication, Advisory Opinion 16 provides advice and guidance on this topic. It includes a list of the relevant USPAP and advisory references. Each of those references will be addressed on the next few pages. Before that discussion begins, it is important to quickly remind appraisers of how USPAP is organized. Appraisers will recognize this table, which appears on page 112 of the current USPAP publication and is a part of Advisory Opinion 21. It shows valuation services on the top with two arrows to the left and right. On appraisal practice, it says valuation services performed by an individual acting as an appraiser. Appraisal and appraisal review, development and reporting. Over here it says other valuation services when acting as an appraiser. Underneath appraisal and appraisal review, development and reporting, in the gray box it says all rules apply, standards apply. Which ones apply varies by assignment. Underneath other valuation services when acting as an appraiser, in the gray box it says 3 rules apply: ethics rule, competency rule, and jurisdictional exemption rule. No standards apply in these assignments. Compliance with the record-keeping rule and scope of work rule is not required in these assignments. In the last section, it says valuation services when not, that's highlighted, acting as an appraiser. When performing these services, do not misrepresent your role. For instance, clearly communicate that you are not, that's highlighted, acting as an appraiser. The table demonstrates the flexibility of USPAP. Despite its relative brevity, it is only 58 pages long. It is still able to address an infinite number of variables that exist across an incredibly wide range of possible appraisal problems an appraiser might be asked to solve. In all situations, Complying with the law supersedes USPAP. This includes complying with all anti-discrimination laws that may apply. And then on the bottom it says the number 30, for more complete information, please review Advisory Opinion 21, as well as the preamble for a full explanation of how USPAP is organized, which standards and which rules apply when. End of page. Page 29, USPAP and principles. USPAP is a principles-based document that addresses the foundational systematic procedure of the appraisal process. USPAP is not a rules-based document that prescribes a method or technique for each specific situation. USPAP provides the overall principles that must be followed, but federal agencies, state regulators, clients, lenders, etc., fill in details about how to fulfill those principles based on the specifics for the type of assignment to be completed by the appraiser. However, client guidance may not cover everything required for compliance with anti-discrimination laws. Appraisers still have an obligation to know and comply with any legal requirements that are not covered by client guidelines. End of page. Page 30. Different actions. Complying with anti-discrimination laws will require a different set of actions for different situations. For example, an appraiser is completing an appraisal where compliance with the requirements of the Fannie Mae Selling Guide is an assignment condition. The guide states certain other factors that are not appraisal factors, such as the racial or ethnic composition of a neighborhood, or the age or sex of the individuals who live in a particular neighborhood, must not be considered in the valuation process. Note, however, that because of the FHACT itself also prohibits consideration of those factors, such consideration would be prohibited regardless of whether any lender guidance existed. Continuing with the example, the same appraiser has been hired by the federal government to complete a valuation service in the form of a study on appraisal bias that requires research of data related to race and the neighborhoods where appraisal assignments have been performed. The appraiser might need to research and consider protected characteristics, such as the race of the neighborhood residents, when completing this study. On the bottom of the page, it says the number 31, HTTPS hypertext transfer protocol // selling guide fanniemae.com Selling guide organization through closing, subpart B4, underwriting property, chapter B41, appraisal requirements, section B413, appraisal report, assessments 103, neighborhood appraisal, and that's your link. End of page. Page 31. Public trust. USPAP has many different requirements in place to ensure that an appraiser who follows USPAP can continually produce non-discriminatory appraisals worthy of the public's trust. It is important for the appraiser to recognize how many different requirements must be followed to produce appraisals that are not unlawfully discriminatory. For example, a lender client has a different need than a client such as the U.S. Department of Interior, which can require the appraiser to follow the Uniform Appraisal Standards of, this is a different one. The Uniform Appraisal Standards for Federal and Acquisitions, also known as the Yellow Book. USPAP can only provide broad, principle-based requirements for appraisers. Clients themselves can then provide detailed guidance related to solving their appraisal problems, or the appraiser will have the knowledge of the appropriate appraisal methods and techniques and know how to complete the necessary research and analysis that will produce credible and know-how to complete the necessary research and analysis that will produce credible assignment results in situations where the client does not provide detailed guidance for the appraiser. End of page.